we're looking at Neil Marshall's first directed movie, Dog Soldiers. He originally wanted to shoot a low-budget soldiers versus werewolves movie back in 1995, but in the end, he pitched the idea to multiple production studios that became interested in his story concept. Among the studios were Kismet Entertainment Group and Carousel Picture Company, and shooting took place in both the United Kingdom and Luxembourg, the latter as a cost-saving measure. And upon completion, the film first appeared in the 2002 Brussels International Film Festival before moving to movie theaters in May of that year. Now, like with Christophe Gans from the last review, Marshall is a modestly decorated filmmaker who's still several tiers below the big names like Nolan and Spielberg. He has his hits, like in his brief stint as director on 2 Game of Thrones episodes, and he has his misses, as seen with the Hellboy reboot from 2019. So, which Neil Marshall are we going to get? Let's find out. This is Dog Soldiers. We open in Scotland, where a random couple is out in the woods for some kind of anniversary, I guess. The woman gives her partner a nice-looking silver knife as a gift, and they bang. Did I somehow put in Bad Moon by mistake? But oh no! A wild werewolf then appears and kills both of them! Guess that silver knife was not very useful. The movie then cuts over to our main character for this movie, Cooper, played by Kevin McKidd. He's a soldier who's gone AWOL, and is fleeing from some of his former colleagues who aren't too pleased with his desertion. He then stands his ground and kicks some ass. But it's okay! It was just a test for him to make it into Special Forces. And it looks like he passed.
Yeah, shoot the dog.
Yeah, they're pulling the follow orders and show no empathy shtick with this military group, so of course our hero doesn't do it. And if you're thinking Kingsman, where the guns have blanks, well...
No! It's just a dog, that's all. Maybe one day when that's sunk into your thick skull, you'll be ready for us.
Oh, I hope you die a painful death, sir. At least Cooper gets a few licks in before the others subdue him. 4 weeks later, he and his squad are in the Scottish Highlands for a training exercise against the Special Forces, which is led by the same guy who killed the dog. His name is Ryan, but like with Swan EGG from my Trumpet of the Swan review, I'm calling him Dog Killer for the rest of the movie. Speaking of names, I could go over each squad member on Cooper's side, but it's kinda hard to tell them apart given their similar haircut and uniform colors.
I want a position and bearing. I want to be the move in 3 minutes.
On it, Sarge.
Spoon, Terry, you're on stag. Joe, for fuck's sake, get off your big fat lardy arse and make like a soldier.
Bollocks, I don't believe this.
What is it now with the spoon?
Let me watch at the barracks, Sarge.
Take a breather every once in a while, son. You live longer.
Nice work, Spoon, you tosser.
At least the banner is clever and entertaining, with swear words and figures of speech flying left and right. Macho as they are, they all rather go home and watch some soccer, I mean football, and or have sex. That's important too. The dialogue also suggests that team camaraderie is close enough that they can hurl insults at one another without anyone taking it personally. Even the sergeant, played by Sean Pertwee, tells Cooper that he did the right thing by deciding not to shoot the dog during the test. Back on topic, as the team traverses the Highlands, which is actually Luxembourg, one of the soldiers brings up that couple that we saw get killed earlier, and that other campers have also disappeared in the area. Then, after another long day of hiking, the squad mates ask each other what their worst fears are. The sergeant is the last to speak, and he goes on about a friend of his named Eddie. He got a devil tattoo right on his ass, and I'll let him finish the story for me.
6 days later, we were making a regular sweep along the Iraqi border. And Eddie, poor fucker, triggered an anti-tank mine. White. Blinding, lightning flash and a fucking deafening crack. And by the time we picked ourselves up off the deck, Eddie was gone. Just bits and pieces of him. It's all that remained. This big fucking red circle, 100 meters. The thing that really freaked us out that day was when Left-Hand Charlie found a bit of Eddie with a tattoo on. I mean, everything else was burnt to a crisp, covered in claret, all mushed up, pulped up. Not this bit. This bit was perfect.
We aren't even in the werewolves stage, and the film is already pouring on the nightmare fuel. The story of cleaning up the remains of a colleague after he stepped on a landmine feels extremely plausible and gross at equal measure. It's also another chance to add characterization to these guys, most of whom aren't going to get out of this alive. Another soldier then starts telling a joke to lighten the mood when suddenly a dead cow lands right on top of their campsite and scares the crap out of them. Some soldiers then ask for the exercise to be cancelled when Cooper discovers very large bite marks on the corpse, but the sergeant overrules them. We then cut over to Dog Killer scouting the area with his night vision binocular, while an animal with black and white vision closes in on him. Not as scary as the heat sensor vision that the Predator had, but it still leads to a decent payoff. 'Cause he's dead now! Screw you, Dog Killer! Back over to Cooper and company, they keep finding more chunks of cow meat during their march before seeing a signal flare. They go over to see what's going on and they find a completely devastated military camp. These are the remains of the special forces that Cooper's team is supposed to be fighting against for a drill, so our heroes decide to grab whatever weapons they can in the camp while radioing for immediate evacuation.
Airlift immediately. Come on, lads.
Damn it, Dog Killer is still alive. To make matters worse, the team can't get a signal in this area, while the wounded victim keeps going on about how there was only supposed to be one. We know what he's talking about, but our heroes certainly don't, and by the time they even have a clue as to what's going on, it's already too late. Our first casualty is a soldier who panics when his gun jams, then accidentally impales himself into a tree branch when he wasn't looking. The sergeant almost follows suit when the werewolf cuts open his stomach, but Cooper gets to him in time. But what's he gonna do about his boss's exposed guts?
Back off! You can take your orders and shove them up your arse. Oh, Jesus! My guts are out, Coop. Well, we'll just put them back in again. They're not gonna fucking fit! Of course they'll fit, man!
We then have an extended fight between the soldiers and werewolf, or possibly werewolves, before help arrives in the form of a jeep. This is Megan, played by Emma Clespley, and she even tells the soldiers to get in, no questions asked. They fight off a werewolf that managed to get a hold of the jeep, then make their way over to a house. The place is deserted, which makes it an ideal place to treat the wounds from Dog Killer and the Sarge. But first they need to check out the place, and what does Cooper find? You better keep it away from the Dog Killer, Cooper, or else you might have to become John Wick. Speaking of, our hero then tries to formulate a new plan to get out of the Highlands. He asks Megan to stay with the team as a driver, and she says yes. But then, there is no Jeep to drive. It got destroyed. How the hell did they not hear the werewolves clawing apart the steel and metal? Well, might as well blow it up.
That puts a kibosh on that plan.
Oh, you stupid dog, not now! And of course, Dog Killer is gonna do Dog Killer things. But another soldier stops him by barfing due to the crappy dinner he had earlier. After the fighting dies down, the soldiers barricade the house, while Megan brings up how coordinated their enemies are. Before they can speculate as to who they're fighting against, they need to get the Sarge fixed up.
I'll tell you something, miss, right? This geezer here, right, is my best mate. He's a salt of the fucking earth. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of the geezers in the squad, they're all right, lovely fellas and stuff, and any single one of them married my... I'll tell you what, I love him. I love you! Like the mate that I love.
I'm hoping he lives at least, but who am I kidding? Megan seems to know a lot about stitching people back together, and she starts to speculate that they are fighting against werewolves. Meanwhile, Dog Killer seems to be feeling better after being at death's door earlier, but since everyone views him with suspicion, they tie him down to a chair. Just in time too, as the werewolves are back for another round.
Die!
More fighting, more gunfire. One of the werewolves even makes its way to the upper floor where the Sarge is resting. But Cooper gets there just in time. God, this movie's awesome!
Dogs. More like pussies.
Ooh, bad thing to say. Megan then gets a glass shard embedded in her hand, and it doesn't even faze her. Now there are two suspicious individuals in the party, and our heroes are running out of ammo to deal with the next attack. Cooper still feels optimistic despite the odds, and we also get a better look at the werewolves, and yep, practical, exactly as they should be. Our hero then plans to escape with a Land Rover parked at a nearby barn. To do this, one soldier acts as monster bait while another makes a break for the barn to hotwire the Rover and drive it back to the house.
Decapitation!
At least the car reaches the others before the driver gets offed off by the werewolf, though in fairness he decides to go out like a man, which shakes our heroes even more. Megan plays the piano to try and calm everyone down, but Cooper is starting to suspect Dog Killer given his nonchalance and sealed lips. It's time to spill the beans.
Ever heard of Special Weapons Division? They're the men in white coats who train dolphins to stick mines on submarines, and cute furry animals to tear your head off at the neck. They saw an opportunity and called me in.
To do what? Catch one of these things?
And to bring it back.
So yeah, the British military wanted to capture and train one of these monsters as a weapon. And what's more, Cooper's team was meant to be werewolf fodder for Dog Killer's men, who were tasked with capturing one of those things.
You bastard.
I had to choose somebody. I remembered you. Monkey see, monkey do.
Bastard. Well, time for his transformation. Or lack thereof. Yeah, no special effect transformation. How disappointing. But at least the team is able to repel Dog Killer after he breaks his restraints. Megan then discovers that the werewolves were actually the owners of this house. But that doesn't stop our heroes from deciding to kill those monsters to survive. They then take a risky gamble. Working on her assumption that the werewolves are hiding in the nearby garage, the soldiers strap a leaking gas tank on the Land Rover and drive it to the shed. Once the vehicle hits its destination, they are to light up the gas trail that reaches the tank and the werewolves up. Hopefully. While this is going on, the Sarge volunteers to sacrifice himself to let his remaining subordinates escape. He can do this because he's starting to feel better, much like Dog Killer earlier. You know what that means.
Maybe it's like when you need to take a piss or something, I don't know. When you gotta go, you gotta fucking go.
Well, maybe it's more like needing a shite. Just because you need one doesn't mean you drop your kegs and pinch one off. Anyway, fuck Ryan. Shifty bastard could have been one of those things from the start.
You know, Coop, there's one more thing you gotta learn about command, mate. Sometimes the people that you kill are your own men.
God damn, they have such good chemistry. Anyway, things go off perfectly for the good guys. The car reaches the garage and blows up as expected. But now it's time for Megan to reveal something. There weren't any werewolves in that garage. She was lying all along, and she is also one of the werewolves.
Do you think I like being part of this fucked up family? Do you think I chose to run with the pack? No. I chose you. But now you're out of luck, and I'm out of time. And all we can do is let nature take its course.
So, complicated relationships. And there's nothing she can do to get out now. Megan slowly transforms into a werewolf, only for the Sarge to put a bullet in her. The remaining team gets split up from the attack, but one of the soldiers, Spoonie, puts up one hell of a fight against a werewolf with nothing but kitchen appliances. But there can only be one survivor, so... dead.
I hope I give you the shits, you fucking wimp.
Oh my god, he's so goddamn cool!
We're now down to only Cooper and the Sarge. After some close calls, they reach a point where the former is forced to escape alone. The Sarge tells him to tell the world about these werewolves and throws him a camera roll with pictures of these monsters as evidence. The boss then fights off his transformation long enough to cut the gas line, take a good long look at his friend Eddie, and then... the sweet satisfaction of burnt werewolf flesh in a house explosion. Oh, but we still have to check. Was Dog Killer caught up in the explosion? Nope!
You tried licking your own balls yet?
Seems like he retains enough of his sanity to just punch Cooper instead of tearing him up with his bare claws. Dog Killer then attempts to shove a blade through our hero's mouth, but here comes the dog to even the odds. Turns out that knife is the one that dead couple had from the start, because they were storing the dead bodies, and its silver blade wounds Dog Killer long enough for Cooper to deliver the money shot.
You think it's all over? It is now.
And so our movie ends with our hero making it out with the dog, and the mid-credits show that he was able to prove that werewolves ate his platoon. Oh, and England managed to beat Germany 5-1! Yay! In all seriousness, Dog Soldiers is awesome. Its strength comes from its ability to juggle multiple tones without messing any of them up. When it has to have weight and be dramatic, it can be weighty and dramatic. When it needed to be funny, the jokes hit more than miss. And most importantly, it is scary and tense as hell throughout, whether it's from the team waiting around for the next werewolf attack, or the intense firefights against those werewolves. Credits to both directorship and the actors for excelling in so many moods. Cooper and the Sarge are my favorite performances, but there are no weak links here. While I didn't like some of the fast cuts, the action was also satisfying to watch. And I really commend the special effects that leaned almost exclusively on practical instead of CG. The movie felt like watching an old 80s action horror like Predator, and I'm all down for it. So if you're looking for a good action horror involving military officers against flesh-eating werewolves, then you can't go wrong with Dog Soldiers. Next time though, I'm cursed to look at a complete mess. Stay tuned.